Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatrists who you can access anytime, anywhere. Talkspace makes getting the help that you need easy, accessible, and affordable. One of my favorite things about Talkspace is that affordability. Talkspace therapy and psychiatry are covered by most insurers, and most insured members pay a copay of $0. Also, Talkspace is affordable even out of pocket. Therapy, of course, can be costly, but part of the mission of Talkspace is to provide quality care that is accessible and affordable, whether you are insured or not. And here's a special offer for listeners of the Al Galdi podcast. You get $80 off your first month of Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/podcast and enter the promo code SPACE80, that's SPACE80, to match with a licensed therapist today. Go to Talkspace.com/podcast and enter that promo code SPACE80.
'Tis the season of gifting and halls to deck, and the Who's and Who Newville were in love with new tech. Where can we find Sonos and Samsung and Nintendo, they shouted. Would they find it in one place? This they questioned and doubted. When suddenly a Who yelled, Walmart's the place to start. And each Who added headphones, TVs, and games to their carts. With Walmart, their shopping was done in a flurry. They cried out, Who knew? And ordered their gifts in a hurry. Shop the latest tech gifts in the Walmart app.
And away we go, episode 1207 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Wednesday, November 26, 2025. It is the day before Thanksgiving. This is the day after the Washington Commanders franchise again got jobbed by the voting process for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So the Pro Football Hall of Fame on October 22nd announced that 52 modern-era players had advanced in the voting process for the Pro Football Hall of Fame's class of 2026. Among those players, two prominent Washington Redskins legends, kickoff returner, punt returner, and running back Brian Mitchell, and linebacker London Fletcher. However, the Pro Football Hall of Fame on Tuesday morning announced that 26 modern-era players had advanced to the semifinalist stage in the voting process for the Pro Football Hall of Fame's class of 2026, and not among those players were both Brian Mitchell and London Fletcher. Ridiculous, totally wrong. Each guy absolutely is worthy of being in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Tuesday was the 85th birthday of a Redskins legend who is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Former head coach Joe Gibbs, he turned 85. It would have been so good to see Brian Mitchell and London Fletcher advance on the 85th birthday of Coach Gibbs, but we unfortunately did not get that. Hello and welcome to this Wednesday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Good to have you with us on this day before Thanksgiving. A final show of the week. The next installment of the podcast will come out on Monday. But as we have the Washington Commanders versus the Denver Broncos at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football this Sunday night at 8:20, we next segment are going to speak with Broncos insider Zac Stevens of the DNVR.com. He is the co-host of the DNVR Broncos podcast. Zac is very well informed about and very well connected to the Broncos, and we're going to discuss not just this game between the Commanders and Broncos, but also what the Commanders can learn from the Broncos. The Broncos are in season number 3 with Sean Payton as head coach. They, like the Commanders, had a good 2024 season with a rookie quarterback, but the Broncos, unlike our Commanders, are having a great 2025 season, as the Broncos, unlike our Commanders, have an outstanding defense, and yes, also have not been ripped apart by injury as our Commanders have been. But remember that reported $85 million hit in salary cap dead money that the Broncos took on in releasing quarterback Russell Wilson in March 2024. Yeah, the Broncos are doing just fine. How and why is that? What can our team take from that? Zac Stevens, next segment. By the way, we on Tuesday morning heard from Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels, who has missed each of the team's last 2 games due to a dislocated left elbow. He spoke at the team's annual Harvest Feast, which involves the team giving turkeys to people in need. It takes place at Northwest Stadium. Head coach Dan Quinn on Monday afternoon said that Daniels is returning to practice, but has not been cleared for contact and thus is unlikely to play against the Broncos. Daniels on Tuesday morning said that he has started throwing since the injury and does want to play again this season. We on Tuesday morning had this back and forth between 7 News DC sports director Scott Abraham and Daniels.
I guess the big question everybody wants to know is, how's the elbow and what's the challenge been of kind of rehabbing and getting back to maybe on the field?
I would say first and foremost, I'm happy to be out here. Jayden Daniels Foundation, partner with the Commanders, to give some good back for the holidays, make sure people have meals on Thanksgiving. And then to answer your question, it's a day-by-day process, just getting back in the rhythm of things, the flow of things.
Why is it important for you to get back out there? Because I don't know if you've been paying attention. There's a lot of fans out there, Jayden, that are concerned that maybe you go back out there and get hurt again.
I got to go out there and play football. If I'm back out there, I'm healthy and I'm ready to go. I want to be out there.
Jayden, ultimately, who makes that decision if you go out there and play?
It's a collective. It's my team. It's going to be the medical staff, the team, and it's no really discussions of anything right now. It's more so just getting back healthy and feeling back good. If I'm out there, man, I'm gonna give it my all. So it's gonna be important. As a football player, you want to go back there and play, and a competitor, and that's who I am. So if I have the opportunity to go back there and play, but right now I'm really just taking it day by day and week by week.
All right, first public words from Jayden Daniels since his latest injury. And at least from the footage that I saw, Jayden Daniels on Tuesday morning was handing out turkeys with his right arm, not the left arm, on which he suffered the dislocated left elbow. Good idea. Don't re-injure the elbow via handing out turkeys. And while we're hitting on some quick Commanders items, former Washington safety and current Los Angeles Rams safety Kamren Curl, he in a post on X on Tuesday afternoon wrote, quote, "I'm so happy for one, bruh," end quote. One as in the number one. One as in former Commanders cornerback and current Rams cornerback, Emmanuel Forbes Jr. He is killing it right now. Forbes and the Rams' 34-7 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday Night Football this past Sunday night had like the game of his life. 5 pass defenses, including an interception. He, for the game, had an overall grade for Pro Football Focus of 92.4, which is outstanding. He, in the game per the NFL's Next Gen Stats, faced 7 targets and did not allow a single reception. Understand that no defender since Week 12 of the 2022 regular season had been targeted more times without allowing a catch in a regular season game. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the Commanders releasing Emmanuel Forbes, November 30th, 2024. This off having taken him with the number 16 overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. Now, of course, Forbes was drafted by the Commanders when Ron Rivera, as head coach in charge of player personnel, was running football operations, and was released by the Commanders with Adam Peters as general manager running football operations. But it is impossible to see Emmanuel Forbes and Cam Curl doing well and not wonder what could be and why it isn't with the Commanders given the struggles of the team's secondary. The Rams for this regular season are number 1 in the NFL in total defense per DVOA. Forbes and Curl are big parts of that. And specific to Forbes, I know that there is this notion of, well, Forbes was never going to succeed here. He needed a change of scenery. Maybe. But maybe our team just didn't do a good enough job with him. You gotta wonder. We don't have all of the information, but I don't know how you don't at least wonder whether our team blew it with Forbes, especially given how bad the Commanders' secondary has been this season. And also on the show, I'll talk Washington Wizards and college basketball. How about our Wizards?
6 seconds left. The Wizards are going to say goodbye to this 14-game losing streak. Get out of here.
Yep, and the first win ever for a cup game, Emirates Cup game. That's a nice feeling. It's a joyful moment here at Capital One Arena.
I'll say happy Thanksgiving. 132-113. The Wizards win over the Atlanta Hawks.
Dave Johnson and Glenn Consor on the Washington Wizards radio network. A 132-113 win over the Atlanta Hawks at Capital One Arena on Tuesday night. The Wizards snapped their 14-game losing streak. The Wizards won a game in an NBA in-season tournament for the first time ever. We will celebrate. We will revel in an actual win for our rebuilding and tanking Wizards. And in college basketball on Tuesday night, Maryland got blown out by number 12 Gonzaga 161 at MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas in the 2025 Players Era Men's Championship. But George Mason, the Mason Nation, a 74-65 win over Florida Atlantic at Ocean Center in Daytona Beach, Florida, to win the 2025 Geico Sunshine Slam Championship. Before we get to some feedback, the fourth college football playoff rankings of the 2025 season came out on Tuesday night. Virginia up one spot to number 18. But some bad news for UVA. Head coach Tony Elliott, he during his press conference on Tuesday announced that one of the team's best players, linebacker Cam Robinson, is done for the season due to a torn ACL. By the way, James Madison still not ranked in the college football playoff rankings. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. A lot of positive feedback on our theme song for Operation Lose Out 2.0, a theme song put together by a great listener of this podcast, Andy from Drew on X. Writes Drew, Andy's Operation Lose Out 2.0 track is fantastic. Thank you for that, Drew. From Navy B. Young on X writes, Navy, dude, that Operation Lose Out theme song is awesome. A must play at the beginning of every pod. Made my day. Thank you for that, Navy. From AK on X writes, AK, the 2.0 theme song is spectacular. Thank you for that, AK. From Tony on X writes, Tony, Galdi, Operation Lose Out 2.0 theme song should be the new intro music for the rest of the season. Thank you for that, Tony. From Jim D on X writes, Jim, what a theme song. Might as well replace the current intro song. Just kidding, of course. So thank you for that, Jim. Well, on this day before Thanksgiving, let us enjoy the theme song for Operation Lose Out 2.0.
Operation Lose Out. Yeah, we're running it back. Did it once for JD5. Now we're back on track. Every Sunday feels like deja vu. Dropping L's on purpose. What else we gonna do? Take the snap, take the fall. Let the future make the call. Stack the picks, trust the route. It's version 2.0. Time to lose out.
There you go, the outstanding theme song for Operation Lose Out 2.0. Email from Phil with a very serious problem. Writes Phil, Hey Al, desperately need your help. I have 2 turkeys for Thanksgiving, and they need names. The names should be Redskins themed and non-subtle enough for the elder generation of the family to get this even in advanced age. Current leading candidates, Sonny and Billy, Charles, and Dexter. But there's also a philosophical question. Do we name the turkeys after friendly faces to honor them, or after enemies who got cooked? If the latter, perhaps Elway and Kelly, might be too subtle. The 80-plus crowd probably doesn't remember the details. Danny and Roger, possibly also too subtle. And then there's also Heath and Gus, who aren't exactly friends or enemies. Also, ChatGPT suggested Snyder and Shanahan if you want your turkeys to fight each other before the meal. Thank you for the email, Phil. This is quite the dilemma, but to me, you honor all-time Redskins greats in ways other than naming turkeys after those guys. A turkey has a negative connotation. Like you call someone a turkey, that is an insult, not a compliment. My 2 suggestions for the names of the 2 turkeys, Dan and Vinny or Dan and Bruce. The name of one of the turkeys has to be Dan. I could go either way with the other name, Vinny or Bruce. And as Dan Snyder famously said during his time as owner of our team, never mind that he said this at the introductory press conference for Ron Rivera's head coach on January 2nd, 2020 in a major mistake, but happy Thanksgiving.
First off, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes, Dan. Happy Thanksgiving. Email from John on how some Commanders fans are reacting to the team's disappointing season. Writes John, "Hi, Al. I hope you're doing well. As someone who has listened to all 1,200 plus episodes, I've never understood how so-called true fans can just bail on a season or worse, on their team. I've been a fan for over 50 years and have survived both the good times and the oh-so-bad times. The idea of not following my team because of a bad season just doesn't resonate with me. Even through the dark days of the Snyder era, I was there every day, every week, every year. My wife says that level of loyalty proves I'm a little off. She's probably right. Honestly, being a fan of this team reminds me of the vows I took 30 years ago. To have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do us part. At this point, I think my team and I are legally bound by similar terms. And just like my marriage, there have been moments of pure joy, moments of deep questioning, and plenty of times I've wondered, what exactly have I gotten myself into? But I wouldn't trade this for anything. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thanks for all that you do with the podcast." Well, thank you very much for the email, John. I agree. Being a fan of a team is like a marriage in many ways. And something else that I found with being a fan of a team is that you can't stop yourself from caring. I will always be a fan of our football team, but even if I wanted to stop being a fan of the team, I couldn't, because I can't stop myself from caring about the team. Like, I can't just shut off my interest in and passion for my team. You know the song Hotel California by the Eagles? You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. That, to me, is being a fan of a team. Unfortunately, there are money scams all over the place these days. I get money scam text messages and emails constantly. I'm sure that you do too. This is why I'm a big fan of Cash App. Cash App gives you peace of mind that your financial transactions are safe. Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card, so you can act fast if something seems off. You also can lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. And if you're about to send money to someone for a deal that's too good to be true, and Cash App flags the deal as a potential scam, Cash App will warn you before you send the money. Cash App is here for you. You this holiday season can stay one step ahead of scams and keep your money secure with Cash App. And for a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use Cash App's exclusive code to earn some additional cash for real. Just download Cash App. Use the exclusive referral code SECURE10 in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partner or partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatrists who you can access anytime, anywhere. Talkspace makes getting the help that you need easy, accessible, and affordable. One of my favorite things about Talkspace is that affordability. Talkspace therapy and psychiatry are covered by most insurers, and most insured members pay a copay of $0. Also, Talkspace is affordable even out of pocket. Therapy, of course, can be costly, but part of the mission of Talkspace is to provide quality care that is accessible and affordable, whether you are insured or not. And here's a special offer for listeners of the Al Galdi podcast. You get $80 off your first month of Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/podcast and enter the promo code SPACE80, that's SPACE80, to match with a licensed therapist today. Go to Talkspace.com/podcast and enter that promo code SPACE80.
In Walmart's Who-Newville, everyone ready their cart. Amazing Black Friday deals are about to start. Online and in the app, such great deals to explore. Everything you love from tech, toys, and more. The days to save and the ones to remember. It's only the 25th to the 30th of November. Set your alarms. Don't miss out. These deals are epic, without a doubt. The Who's are all ready, but are you? Walmart Black Friday deals await. Who knew?
Hey, if you're listening to this podcast via Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can rate the podcast with a star rating. 5-star ratings are greatly appreciated. They help us out a lot. Thank you for doing them. Week 13 of the NFL's 2025 regular season gives us the 3-8 Washington Commanders against the 9-2 Denver Broncos at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football this Sunday night at 8:20. The Commanders have lost 6 consecutive games. The Broncos have won 8 consecutive games. Each team's QB1 was taken by the team in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft. The Commanders took Jayden Daniels with the number 2 overall pick. The Broncos took Bo Nix with the number 12 overall pick. Daniels is better than Nix, of course, but Nix's team this season is doing a bit better than Daniels' team is doing this season. Is that all about the Commanders having been ravaged by injury, or are there some things that the Commanders can learn from the Broncos and how to properly surround a quarterback on a rookie contract? I'm very pleased to welcome back to the Al Galdi podcast Denver Broncos insider Zac Stevens of the DNVR.com. He is the co-host of the DNVR Broncos podcast. You could follow him on X at Zac Stevens DNVR. Hey, Zac, how are you?
Al, great to talk to you. I really appreciate you having me on. And I must say, man, this game was circled on everyone's calendar in Denver as just being an awesome game coming into this season. And so I got to say, speaking on behalf of Broncos country, a little bummed that it turns out this way with the Commanders and Jayden Daniels, because this was supposed to be the game of Bo versus Jayden, see which one is truly the better one. And obviously, I still think have a lot of respect for Jayden, but just unfortunate the way the season's gone.
For sure. Well, the Broncos have done their part. The Commanders have not done their part. The Broncos started off 1-2. Since then have won 8 consecutive games. I know that there are always things for an NFL fan to complain about regarding his or her team, but right now, is there anything significant with the Broncos worthy of complaining?
Al, you'd be blown away at how Broncos country is reacting to this season. Obviously, everyone is giving all the credit in the world to this Broncos defense, which is arguably the best in the NFL. But this offense has a lot of struggles. Now, it's champagne problems because the Broncos are winning. You mentioned the 8-game win streak is second best in the NFL, only to the Patriots 9. Their 9-2 record is the second best in the AFC. But this offense has really struggled at times, some due to injury, some due to just lack of execution. People have been calling for Sean Payton to give up play calling duties. That's how extreme it has got, even though the Broncos offense has been good enough. Bo Nix, his stats are probably better than he's actually played. He has had games where he's looked really good. The most recent game against the Chiefs, he actually looked really good and played way better than his stats actually showed, and he almost had 300 yards in that game. But there's been a lot of inconsistency with his play, missing open receivers time and time again, having a few uncharacteristic turnovers. But the bigger issue is with the running game. The Broncos in the first half of the season had one of the best running attacks in the NFL, led by J.K. Dobbins. At one point was the third leading rusher in the NFL, only behind Jonathan Taylor and James Cook. And he is now likely done for the entire season, could be back for a deep playoff run. But the Broncos do not have him, and they have not had production from any other running back, which is a big concern, because while when you think of a Sean Payton offense, you think of Drew Brees, you can't forget Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara, Darren Sproles. He has had a running game time and time again. And now without J.K. Dobbins, the Broncos in their first game without him against the Chiefs really struggled to run the ball. They do have second-round pick R.J. Harvey, and he's going to need to really step up, because this year, before J.K. Dobbins' injury, R.J. has really just been a receiver out of the backfield. Now he has to be a runner, and that's a big TBD on if he's able to step up into that role this year.
Yeah, Broncos running back J.K. Dobbins suffered a foot injury in the 10-7 win over the Las Vegas Raiders on Thursday Night Football on November 6th. So, Bo Nix, he for this regular season through Week 12 has the following rankings. Number 19 out of 33 qualified NFL quarterbacks in ESPN's total QBR, 53.5. Number 20 out of 34 qualified NFL quarterbacks in expected points added per play per RBSDM.com. And number 26 out of 34 qualified NFL quarterbacks per Pro Football Reference in yards per pass attempt, 6.26. Those are not impressive stats, and yet The Broncos are 9-2. You may have already answered this question, but I'll ask it anyway. Broncos general manager George Paton, Broncos head coach Sean Payton, no relation. Do they believe that they have a franchise quarterback in Bo Nix?
Yeah, some in Broncos country are still a little uncertain about that, but Sean Payton and the Broncos 100% believe that they have their franchise quarterback in Bo Nix. And one of the things that Sean Payton's done, which you can give him credit for, you can knock him for, he has tied his wagon to Bo Nix entirely. Bo Nix's success is Sean Payton's success. It is very hard to picture a world where Sean Payton moves on from Bo and then finds success from someone else. He has really hitched his wagon to Bo Nix, and I think that's done really good things for Bo's confidence, but he has been very, very, very hesitant to ever knock his quarterback publicly, and Bo has been very good in the first 2 years. There have been some struggles, and Sean really has not acknowledged those struggles in the first 2 years, but Sean is 100% in belief that Bo Nix is their franchise quarterback.
What do you think? Do you think that Bo Nix is the guy?
It's a great question. Sean Payton believes that Bo Nix is a top 4 or 5 quarterback in the NFL in the next year or two. I'm not willing to go that far yet just now. But I do think, and you have to understand where the Broncos have been too. Since Peyton Manning retired a decade ago, the Broncos have had a quarterback carousel, nearly 15 different starting quarterbacks. So in terms of where the Broncos are, I do think he is a franchise quarterback. Now, a top 4 or 5 quarterback in the NFL where you want your franchise quarterback to be, I'm not sold on that yet, but if he can be a top 10 quarterback right on that verge with this defense, the Broncos will have a Super Bowl window for the next couple of years.
What are Bo Nix's biggest strengths and weaknesses right now?
I'll say Bo Nix has an incredibly fast processor, and that is something that you really can't teach. So the fact he has that gives him an opportunity to be very, very good in the NFL. Now, that is kind of this year come back to bite him. He's processing at times a little too fast, going through reads too fast, not allowing his first and second option to get open. And then by the time he gets to the third option, that's not open and was never going to be open. So then he has to run. His footwork this year has taken a step back from last year. He's had some just very jittery feet in the pocket, which has really impacted his accuracy. Like I said, his stats are actually pretty darn good. In Broncos country, there's a lot more concern just about how he might be regressing a little bit in this second year. But with Sean Payton, there is a lot of hope and belief that he is going to get it turned around and turned around from a pretty good bar where it's set right now.
Something that has come up a lot here in the Washington, D.C. area is the Commanders needing to surround Jayden Daniels with a quality supporting cast, that the plan can't just be for Daniels to carry the team as he did last season. How would you assess how the Broncos have done in assembling Bo Nix's supporting cast?
On the offensive side of the ball, they have done what Sean Payton's philosophy is, and that is get a good offensive line. Al, the Broncos have invested heavily on 4 of the 5 positions on the offensive line. The only one that they aren't paying big-time money to is their center. They are paying big-time money to their left tackle, left guard, right tackle, and right guard as well. And that's Sean Payton's philosophy, is protect the quarterback, and then he can throw to really anyone. Now, the Broncos have a lot of young guys around Bo Nix. Outside of Cortland Sutton, they have a very young receiving room with Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims. Those guys have flashed, but haven't shown true consistency in a year-in, year-out basis. They're both also just in their second and third year in the NFL. The Broncos, one of the biggest disappointments this year from the offensive side of the ball has been Evan Ingram. The Broncos signed him to be the Joker. That's a term that Sean Payton uses to talk about a dynamic and elite receiving tight end or running back as a receiver. And man, Evan Ingram, I thought he was going to have 1,000 yards this year. He has just been non-existent. And I don't necessarily know if it's Evan's fault. He's not being drawn up for a lot of plays. The Broncos are still hopeful that he will burst out at some point. So they tried to get Bo another weapon there, and it just has not materialized. So I would say in Sean Payton's philosophy about keeping the quarterback upright and protected, the Broncos have done that about as good as anyone can do. Now, I do think that they're going to be interested in a top flight wide receiver next year in the draft because it still isn't good enough outside of Cortland.
Much more with Zac Stevens in moments, but if you enjoy this podcast, check out BGO Blind Pig, the official podcast of BGObsession.com. BGO Blind Pig is great. It is a roundtable discussion of the Washington Commanders. It's like you and a bunch of your buddies who are Commanders fans are hanging out and talking about the team. The conversation is smart and fun and respectful. Some really good discussion on recent episodes about the state of the Commanders season and where our team goes from here. You can find the BGO Blind Pig podcast on YouTube and on any major podcast provider. Next time you're on YouTube, search BGO Blind Pig. Make BGObsession.com the home for your burgundy and gold obsession, and make the BGO Blind Pig podcast part of your Commanders podcast rotation. We're talking Commanders Broncos and also what the Commanders can learn from the Broncos as we speak with Broncos insider Zac Stevens of the DNVR.com, the co-host of the DNVR Broncos podcast. The biggest difference between the Commanders and Broncos is the difference between the two defenses. Quite the discrepancy. The Commanders' defense has been terrible. The Broncos' defense has been outstanding. The Broncos, for this regular season through Week 12, are number 5 in the NFL in total defense in terms of DVOA, and are number 4 in the NFL in total defense in terms of expected points added per play per RBSDM.com. What are the most impressive aspects of this defense?
Well, it starts with the pass rush, and because the pass rush right now, Al, is on pace to have the most sacks in NFL history in a single season. The pass rush has been so unbelievably dominant. They got after Justin Fields when they played the Jets 9 times. They're constantly pressuring the quarterback, constantly bringing the quarterback down. Nearly 50 sacks to start the season, 49 in their first 11 games right now, and that is a big driving force of this Broncos defense, because the Broncos have the defensive player of the year at cornerback in Pat Surtain, and you add this pass rush to that only makes it that much more deadly. And then the run defense is also good, but it's this pass defense, starting with the pass rush, where this defense thrives.
The pass rush stats for the Broncos are tremendous. You mentioned the sacks. The Broncos for this regular season through Week 12 are number 1 in the NFL in sacks, 49, are number 2 in the NFL in sack percentage, 11.72. Which position group on the Broncos defense is best?
Oh, that's a great question. I'd have to go outside linebacker just with how they're getting after the pass rush. Nick Bonito was a front runner for Defensive Player of the Year just a couple of weeks ago. Now, obviously, with what Myles Garrett's doing, he's going to run away with that award. It seems like Jonathan Cooper's really good, and they have depth. They have 2 or 3 guys behind their starters at outside linebacker that could potentially be starters on many different teams in the NFL. And what's impressive about that is their defensive line is also very good. And I mentioned cornerback. They have Pat Surtain, who's a Defensive Player of the Year. Their cornerback opposite of them, who's going to get a lot of talk on Sunday Night Football, Al, is a guy whose name is Riley Moss. And he is a very, very good cornerback, but he gets flagged more than any quarterback in the NFL. So I think that's going to be a Commander's game plan going after the Broncos, to just throw the ball deep against Riley Moss and hope you can draw some defensive pass interference penalties.
I was going to ask, if you are Commanders offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, is there anything that you try to exploit with this Broncos defense?
It's 100% Riley Moss and throwing the ball deep. Riley Moss is a very, very good cornerback, but he draws the most pass interference penalties in the NFL, and specifically deep. And I'm just surprised that teams haven't come out more and just thrown the ball 50 yards downfield against Riley Moss to try to draw these penalties, because he's very handsy and he gets called for these penalties a lot, even to the extent where Sean Payton this week said that some of the penalties he needs to clean up, but a lot of them he doesn't agree with, but they're being called week in and week out. So that would be something that I would definitely try to exploit. And then if you can get the ground game going, that's just going to help not allow Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper to pin their ears back and rush the passer. So those are the 2 things that you have to do, because if you get down and you can't run the ball and you're forced to pass, man, it's going to be a really tough day for any quarterback.
The construction of the Broncos defense is interesting. A healthy mix of draft picks and unrestricted free agent acquisitions. Four of the Broncos' top 5 players in defensive snaps for this regular season were acquired via unrestricted free agency. What's also interesting with the defense is the defensive coordinator, Vance Joseph. He used to be the team's head coach. He was the Broncos head coach January 2017 to December 2018, and then the team in February 2023 hired him as defensive coordinator. Was him becoming the team's defensive coordinator of having been its head coach, awkward? Or not really, given that there were more than 4 years between him being fired as head coach and hired as defensive coordinator.
Al, it was such a big talking point when he was hired to be the defensive coordinator because things didn't go well when he was here. Now, he wasn't given a lot of responsibility when he was a head coach, and I mean that in a way that did not benefit him at all. But when he came back, everyone thought it was going to be pretty darn awkward, but I got to give so much credit to Vance for just the person he is coming in here and not allowing that to be awkward, not allowing that to get in the way, because what he has done has been nothing short of remarkable with this defense. When we talk about this defense and how they're one of the best, if not the best defense in the NFL, you have to remember that Vance Joseph only has 1 first-round pick on the defensive side of the ball, and it is Pat Surtain, who is a defensive player of the year, but he has turned this defense of role players into superstars and stars. Nick Bonito is a superstar. Zach Allen is a superstar. Those two guys are Pro Bowl, all-pro players. Then you add pieces like Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga. Vance Joseph has proven this time that he probably deserves another opportunity as a head coach, not just for what he's done with this defense, but how he's able to manage personalities and get the most out of people. So I will say that it did seem like it was going to be awkward at first, but man, has he really, really done an incredible job with this defense and the team, really.
Season number 3 for Sean Payton as Broncos head coach. They, in February 2023, traded a first-round pick in the 2023 NFL Draft and a second-round pick in the 2024 NFL Draft to the New Orleans Saints for a third-round pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, and Payton being released from his contract with the Saints, as Payton remained under contract with the Saints when he stepped down as Saints head coach in January 2022. Now, something that Commanders fans may remember is that Payton, after becoming Broncos head coach, said that potential Commanders ownership groups had contacted him about possibly becoming the team's head coach. He said this on February 10th, 2023 on Mad Dog Sports Radio on Sirius XM. That is a fascinating what if. What if the sale of the Commanders from Dan Snyder to the Josh Harris Group had been completed sooner than July 2023? Would the Harris Group have fired Ron Rivera and hired Sean Payton? Anyway, Payton as Broncos head coach has a regular season record of 27-18. Not bad. What are your impressions of Payton as Broncos head coach?
Yeah, he as a head coach, he has been phenomenal. He has turned this franchise that was really hadn't done anything since Peyton Manning retired. He has made them relevant. He got them their first winning season since 2016. Now the Broncos are guaranteed to have 2 winning seasons in the past 2 years. And what he's done with Bo Nix, we can't forget that Bo Nix was viewed as a terrible draft pick by many around the league. Thought the Broncos stretched by taking him at number 12 last year. Some people thought he was a 3rd or a 4th round pick. And he has made him a very good quarterback in the NFL. And then how he's put this defense together, this offensive line, I think he's done a phenomenal job taking the Broncos from where they were just in a really, really bad spot into a playoff team that really should have Super Bowl aspirations for the next few years.
It is easy to forget that the Broncos QB1 just 2 seasons ago, 2023, was Russell Wilson. The Broncos in March 2022 acquired Wilson via trade with the Seattle Seahawks, and on September 1st, 2022, announced having agreed with Wilson on a 5-year contract extension that ran through the 2028 season. So much for that. The Broncos in March 2024 released Wilson, and in doing so, took on a reported $85 million hit in salary cap dead money over the next 2 seasons, 2024 and 2025. And yet, the Broncos over these last two seasons have done quite well. Have the Broncos truly been hindered by the Wilson contract, or did the contract not end up being the albatross that it seemed?
I'm so happy you brought that up because that is something that, because of how well the Broncos have done last year and this year, when they have been hamstrung by the contract, that dead money really has been forgotten. It was $85 million in dead cap that the Broncos had to eat. They split it over last year and this year. It was $50 million last year, $35 million this year, meaning this year with the 9-2 record, the Broncos are without $35 million. That's one elite player. That is 2 or 3 Pro Bowl players that the Broncos are without. And so that's why the Broncos really are a year early on where they are right now. 9-2 is where the Broncos hope to be in reality at this time next year when they do have more money, when Bo Nix is in his third year. So that they're really a year ahead of where they are. And a big reason is because of that Russell Wilson dead cap that they have to deal with.
Goes to show you how good player personnel can overcome even an $85 million hit in salary cap dead money. Denver Broncos insider Zac Stevens of the DNVR.com, the co-host of the DNVR Broncos podcast. Zach, thanks. All the best.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Al.
Yeah, the Russell Wilson thing is crazy. And as you may recall, our team badly wanted to trade for Wilson. On March 4th, 2022, had reports that the Commanders had made a trade offer to the Seahawks for Russell Wilson and that the offer had been rejected. And on March 8th, 2022, off the breaking news of the Seahawks having agreed to trade Wilson to the Broncos, learn more about that Commanders trade offer for Wilson, including that the Commanders reportedly had offered the Seahawks 3 first-round picks. Sometimes the best trades are the ones that you don't make. If you have a case, contact the NACE Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers. If you feel that you've been wronged, if you think that you've been wronged but aren't sure, contact the NACE Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers, and mention that Al Galdi sent you. You could call 202-902-7611. You could also visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and submit for a free, no-obligation case review. The NACE Law Group features compassionate lawyers and zealous advocates for its clients, led by the great Chris Nace and founded in 1979. The NACE Law Group is a Washington, D.C.-based family law firm that handles medical malpractice, personal injury, birth injury, legal malpractice, and consumer protection cases, offering aggressive advocacy for victims in Washington, D.C. and West Virginia. The NACE Law Group is outstanding. It will fight for you and your family. The NACE Law Group can help you and your family make difficult decisions. The NACE Law Group has recovered millions of dollars for the sick and injured. If you have a case, contact the NACE Law Group. Call 202-902-7611 or visit Washington, D.C. injurylawyers.com and tell the NACE Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. That's 202-902-7611 or Washington, D.C. injurylawyers.com, and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. The NACE Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers. All right, a win for our rebuilding and tanking Washington Wizards. Yes, I said win. A 132-113 win over the Atlanta Hawks at Capital One Arena on Tuesday night. The Wizards snapped their 14-game losing streak. The Wizards won a game in an NBA in-season tournament for the first time ever. This game was the Wizards' third game in the NBA's third ever in-season tournament, which is for the Emirates NBA Cup. The Wizards improved to 1-10 all-time in in-season tournament games, and our Wizards in the NBA's 2025-2026 regular season improved to 2-15. I am all in on our Wizards tanking, but look, the season is long. A win once in a while is just fine. Once in a while, a victory to preserve our collective sanity as Wizards fans is okay. And this was an impressive win. Now, the Hawks were without Trae Young. He did not play due to a right knee MCL sprain, but the Wizards were without multiple key guys. Keyshawn George did not play due to illness. Trey Johnson did not play for a second consecutive game due to his left hip flexor strain. Marvin Bagley III did not play for a third consecutive game due to a right hip contusion. A.J. Johnson did not play due to coach's decision, but this was off him having missed 2 consecutive games due to a right ankle contusion. The Wizards never trailed. Their offense was so good, they went 19 for 38 on threes and 29 for 46 on twos. The Wizards did go just 17 for 26 on free throws, but the Wizards had 30 assists versus 13 turnovers. So the Wizards' defense was good. They held the Hawks to just 15 for 43 on threes and totaled 13 steals and generating 19 turnovers. So the Wizards won despite having just 6 offensive rebounds to the Hawks' 14, and thus 6 second chance points to the Hawks' 21. 92 of the Wizards' 132 points came from just 3 guys, C.J. McCollum, Alex Sarr, and Corey Kispert. C.J. McCollum went off. He, in 36 minutes, 48 seconds as a starter, went 10 for 13 on threes. Also went 7 for 12 on twos. Did go just 2 for 4 on free throws, but he finished with 46 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists versus 2 turnovers. His 10 made threes tied the record for the most made threes by a Bullet/Wizards player in a regular season game. C.J. McCollum hopefully will prove to be a nice trade chip for our Wizards. Alex Sarr, he continues to demonstrate his growth. He, in 37-40 as a starter, went 1 for 2 on threes and 10 for 13 on twos. Did go just 4 for 8 on free throws, but he finished with 27 points, 11 rebounds, including 3 offensive boards, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. And Sarr did what he did on Tuesday night in going up against former Wizard Kristaps Porzingis. Here was some of that. Dave Johnson and Glenn Consor on the Washington Wizards radio network.
Wizards need to close this out. Left the circle, Sarr. Foul line, drives. Top of the strict guard. Bank and score.
Took it right to KP. Right into the rim, into KP's hands.
17 points for Sarr. 79-58. Wizards.
Man, I love that move.
Yeah, a really impressive game for Alex Sarr. Here was Wizards head coach Brian Keefe, our guy, Chief Keefe, during his postgame press conference on Tuesday night on Alex Sarr.
Alex is growing. We've seen it all year. Obviously, he's made a big jump at this early start of the season, but he makes such a big imprint to us on both ends. Obviously, I always start with his rim protection and what he does for us on the defensive end, and then the offensive skill set is growing. The ability to roll, the ability to shoot threes, the ability to make tough shots, little turnarounds in the post. These are all things he's getting better and better at, but it's always, to me, the most important part. You start with Alex is his impact on us defensively.
All right, and Corey Kispert, he in 24-29 as a starter, went 4 for 8 on threes and 2 for 3 on twos. He did go just 3 for 5 on free throws, but he finished with 19 points, 3 steals, and 3 rebounds. He did leave the game due to a right thumb injury. Also, Chris Middleton, he returned from a 1-game absence caused by right knee injury management. He in 31-10 as a starter had 10 points, 12 assists versus 2 turnovers, 7 rebounds, and a game best plus-minus rating of plus 34. He went 1 for 1 on threes, just 2 for 7 on twos, and 3 for 3 on free throws. It was Brian Keefe during his postgame press conference on Tuesday night on what he saw from his team, and then you'll hear a follow-up exchange.
That we're getting better. I thought we were trending up on our trip, the way we were passing, moving, sharing the ball. I think that was an example of stuff that we stuck with and we have gotten better at. Obviously, we made shots tonight, but the ball was flying around, and we were pushing the pace, playing the style that we want to play, the identity we want to play to, which is start with defense, get out in transition, and then really share it. And I thought we did that tonight. Terrific.
How important is it to have nights like tonight where everything clicks together to kind of have everyone see, like, this can work, this is how this can work?
You always want to win your competitors. That's the biggest thing. Like, people, we act like that's not something, that's a big deal. We want to win. Our guys are disappointed when they don't, but it just shows you what we're capable of. Now we got to continue to stack it. As coaches, we're always kind of moving on to the next thing, but I'm really pleased for the guys in the locker room because they put in a tremendous amount of time. But that's how we want to play. We want to play with defense first, rebound, and then you saw the transition, and then obviously we made shots tonight, but the process was right. The shots were right. Really good stuff.
Yes, it was. Next up for the Wizards at the Indiana Pacers, Friday night at 7:30. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatrists who you can access anytime, anywhere. Talkspace makes getting the help that you need easy, accessible, and affordable. One of my favorite things about Talkspace is that affordability. Talkspace therapy and psychiatry are covered by most insurers, and most insured members pay a copay of $0. Also, Talkspace is affordable even out of pocket. Therapy, of course, can be costly, but part of the mission of Talkspace is to provide quality care that is accessible and affordable, whether you are insured or not. And here's a special offer for listeners of the Al Galdi podcast. You get $80 off your first month of Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/podcast and enter the promo code SPACE80, that's SPACE80, to match with a licensed therapist today. Go to Talkspace.com/podcast and enter that promo code SPACE80.
Avoiding your unfinished home projects because you're not sure where to start? Thumbtack knows homes, so you don't have to. Don't know the difference between matte paint finish and satin? Or what that clunking sound from your dryer is? With Thumbtack, you don't have to be a home pro. You just have to hire one. You can hire top-rated pros, see price estimates, and read reviews, all on the app. Download today.
I like what we're seeing from Maryland basketball in its first season with Buzz Williams as head coach. By the way, he is killing it as a recruiter. Maryland, at the conclusion of the early signing period on November 19th, had the #3 recruiting class in Division I men's basketball per 24/7 Sports. However, the Terrapins late night on Tuesday night got routed by one of the best teams in the country. The Terps in the 2025-2026 regular season fell to 5-2 overall with a 161 loss to number 12 Gonzaga at MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas in the 2025 Players Era Men's Championship in Vegas. So the Terps never held a lead and trailed by at least 14 points for all of the second half. Maryland's offense was really bad. The Terps went just 5 for 21 on threes, just 15 for 34 on twos, and just 16 for 23 on free throws, and had just 9 assists versus 18 turnovers. And Maryland's defense was really bad. The Terps allowed Gonzaga to score 100 points, go 14 for 33 on threes, and 23 for 31 on twos, and have 30 assists versus 12 turnovers. But still, good to have Maryland in this tournament, which included a 74-67 Maryland win over UNLV on Monday night/Tuesday morning in a game with the start time of midnight. The postgame press conference of Buzz Williams late night on Tuesday night began with this exchange.
Buzz, how much of what went wrong tonight? How much of what went wrong tonight was you guys not doing what you needed to do versus Gonzaga just being a really good basketball team?
Yeah, I would say probably both. They are incredibly good. And I think relative to the infancy of where we're at, as difficult as this is, playing in a tournament like this affords us an opportunity to diagnose even more at a faster rate. And none of that is fun. But to be able to play a team that's good enough to win the national championship in the 4th week of the season, there's a lot for us to grow from. And to some degree, without being too simplistic, the best thing may be that we're going to play in 24 hours. And so without the schemes and the strategies involved in whatever that opponent will be, how will we respond to what just transpired? And so I will always give credit to the opponent. They made us not play well, but our urgency and our response in not playing well is not near at the standard that it's going to have to become.
All right, next up for Maryland, home to Wagner on Tuesday night, December 2nd at 8. And also in college basketball on this most recent Tuesday night, George Mason improved to 7-0 overall with a 74-65 win over Florida Atlantic at Ocean Center in Daytona Beach, Florida, to win the 2025 Geico Sunshine Slam Championship. But the Patriots did allow a 19-point second-half lead to get cut to 3, but held on for the win. First start of 7-0 or better to a regular season in program history as Tony Skinn continues to thrive as Mason head coach. He was a player on Mason's famous 2005-2006 Final Four team. He was an assistant coach for Maryland for the 2022-2023 season, was named Mason head coach on March 30th, 2023. He became Mason's head coach off Kim English leaving his job as Mason head coach to become Providence's head coach, succeeding Ed Cooley, who became Georgetown's head coach. And Skinn was named A-10 Coach of the Year for last regular season, and Mason this past March 27th announced a contract extension for Skinn through the 2029-2030 season. Great to see George Mason off to this terrific start. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. So, no show for Thursday or Friday. The next installment of the podcast will come out early Monday morning, what will be episode 1208, and it'll provide you with in-depth reaction to and analysis of the Washington Commanders game against the Denver Broncos at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football this Sunday night at 8:20. And on Monday's show, we'll have a lot for you on college football, the Washington Capitals, the Washington Wizards, and college basketball. A lot going on in Washington, D.C. area sports over Thanksgiving weekend. Have a great Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you on Monday.
First off, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Hey neighbor, celebrate the holidays with Birch Lane. Our timeless furniture and decor are delivered for free in days, not weeks. It's classic style for joyful living. Shop Birch Lane, a Wayfair specialty brand at birchlane.com.